Hello everyone, today I'm working on this Bachmann 282. It's one of the early versions. This one obviously it will not run because the motor is loose like that, but we're gonna try and make it run. To begin with, it's absolutely beautiful. So this is the old style. It's still really beautiful. This is very close to a Great Northern prototype. You can see here the Elesco feed water heater. So this thing, I think it's got all the little detail parts. Anyways, it looks real good to me. We're gonna see, because this is not supposed to be like that. So we're gonna see if we can make it run. I'll let you take a look at the tender. It's in good shape cosmetically. You can see the handrail's broken here. That is understandable because of the age, but the handrail is supposed to look like that. It's got everything else in place, all the other little detail parts. I'll pull out the fender for you so you can have a look. Again, very close to the Great Northern prototype. I have all the little handrails, even though these are bent maybe a little bit. I can fix that, no problem. It's got its coupler, it's got its drawbar. I might take the wheels apart and clean them. So the tender, no problems at all. These are notorious for cracked gears. There's a little screw up here. I bet that releases the shell. Notorious for cracked gears. Wow, that was easy. And I'm going to keep the little screw there so I don't lose it. And I was able to find some replacement gears on Shapeways. So we'll be looking into that a little bit later. I'm gonna see if I can get this motor to go back into place. I really don't get it why it was moved over. Really don't get that. I'm gonna remove the trailing truck and the pilot truck just to make some room so I can see what I'm doing. That's my neighbor's dog. Whenever he leaves for work, it cries like that for 10 minutes. So this screw also attaches the frame to the boiler. So we might be able to get the boiler off at the same time. We'll see. I'm not gonna put too much strength on that because you can see the little wires that lead up to the light. I want to keep those together. Yeah, so what's happening with this motor? I took a minute to look at it off camera. This is the first time getting into this engine, but because it's Bachmann, I get the way they put things together. There's a little screw in here. I basically have to look at it to get in there. I just had to get the next level bigger screwdriver. That's it. And then this just comes right off. And then our motor's free. Let's see if the motor works. If the motor works, we're in good shape. I'm putting enough power through it. It should turn. It's not in super good shape. Feels like it's been sitting for quite a few years. It's gonna want to come back to life though. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a little bit of lubrication on there. Not a ton. There's a little bit of play on here. So I'm gonna put some oil on the top. I'm gonna let that seep in. I'm gonna let that get in there using the play on the shaft. Even letting it turn on its own with my power on. So I'm not increasing my voltage here, I'm just letting it come back on its own. Also, having my finger on it, I can tell if the motor's getting hot, which it's not getting hot, so that's good. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the back of the motor. I'm going to make a little pool of oil, and I'm going to use the play on the shaft to bring the oil in. And then I'm going to do the same thing. You don't need a lot of oil, just a drop. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to let it run with my power, with the power on. I brought the power down. Maybe on the low power I can still get it to run. This is the lowest power on my power pack, which I think it should run with that, with the low power. I'm going to fool around with it off camera. So it's still running on the second notch on my power pack, but it is running. I think that's going to be as good as it gets. This is a 3-pole motor, so not state of the art at all, but it is going to run. So I stuck the motor just very quickly. I stuck it back in its frame. So it's gonna run. Also note there's just two wheels picking up power from the track. These two wheels here doesn't seem like they do much. Oh, look at that, they do a little bit. This one doesn't do much. This one picks up a little bit. So that's good to know. So there's two screws holding this together, one here in the front, and there's another one on top here, and the motor still wiggles a little bit. And if I tighten this all the way down, then it won't run. You can see the light comes on. Power is getting to the motor, but it's just very tight up against this gear. So I have just to loosen it up. Probably this thing looks new because it never ran. It's still just a little bit too tight in there. Well, now it's running, but it's still too tight, so I'm gonna back it off just a quarter turn, not even, and we'll take a look. Take a look again. So that is much better. Let's just see what it does now. I'm gonna go try it on the track. Just get rid of this noise from my power pack. But I am gonna clean the wheels just before. Just like I did my Hudson, I'll do a little bit here. And then I'll turn them a quarter turn, and then I'll do the other side. that's going to take a while. So it's going to run like that. You can see it almost stops at one point. So the gears are not perfectly round. That's something you have to decide for yourself whether that's good enough for you. It kind of is good. I mean, you run the engine a little bit faster and you won't notice it anymore. But for me, I'd like to go one step further. And also when I run it backwards, if it has to use a little bit of force, it pushes the engine back. So that I might solve with some crazy glue. With no load it's okay, but as soon as you put a load, it just kicks the engine back. That's probably why it was never used. It's almost brand new. You give it just a little more power and then it seems fine. So that's something you have to decide for yourself, whether you're happy with that and you think it's good enough. It's actually not too bad. So I've just been running it like that, and then magically it started running good. That, I could actually leave it like that. That's good enough. I would be satisfied with that, but I want to try out my new gears from Shapeways. So that was really unexpected for this to be such a good runner, and how easy it was to get it to run good. So to remove the weight, there's one gear here, and there's one nut gear screw from under the frame. So that would be essentially the boiler. And then these two little wires are my light, which still works. So that is kind of cool. So I'm going to leave that on the side there. And I'm going to leave that on the side also. And we're going to remove the motor. We're going to remove the gears. The motor, it's connected to the frame right here. So that's one connection. And the other connection is lower. Well, I'll remove the motor and then you'll be able to see it. So that's the other connection to the motor. So these bring in, this is the motor, and this little guy turned out to be fine actually. It's a little underpowered, but it's gonna work for me. And we'll put these together over here because we're not gonna see them for a while. I think that power pickup wise, this is gonna work for me. But just in case, if it should happen to you, you're not satisfied with the power pickup, you can use one of these Bachmann tenders. They have a pickup on all 8 wheels. So that if you put that on, that will change everything. Okay, to take out the gears on this, you don't necessarily have to take everything out. Just making a little note here. The main rods here, they're bent a little bit. I think that's meant to be like that. These can just pop them out very gently. They're just pressed in there. And that is not too hard. And at this point, we're going to remove the whole valve gear together as an assembly. It's just stuck on there. It just, that's just its place, you know. So it just goes on there. Just wiggle it very gently because this plastic is old. And the same way when we bring it back, we'll be sure to be nice and gentle with that. So you just move this bar up and move it forward just a little bit. and then we'll be clear of the frame that way. This is one of those things where it really pays to take your time. The plastic, it's not super brittle, but because of its age, you really want to take a chance. The quality of this is okay. Can't complain too much. You saw it going on the track. It was very easy to get it going. I'm gonna pull out my gears now so you can see them. My new gears. So I bought 2 of them because I'm probably gonna make another engine like that. So the Shapeways, it took a little bit of time for me to get them because I'm in Canada, but probably for you guys in the US, the time would be decent. So I'm very curious to see if these will be better quality than the Bachmann ones. You could see the Bachmann ones weren't exactly round. So you don't have to remove everything to get to the gears. It's just these wheels, they're pressed in there, so you have to unpress them basically. So that too you want to take your time with. So if the gears were cracked, these actually would just fall off. So having to struggle with that might be a good thing. And I think these gears are still good. You saw how well the engine ran. But that's the question. Would the Shapeways gears be superior? So also note that the number 3 driver is your main driver and the counterweight is bigger. And the number 2 driver, there's no pins for the rod, so they could be completely out of time. The number 2 and number 4 driver can be completely out of time. It doesn't affect how the engine run. Just doesn't look right, you know. I like to watch the counterweights go around. I'm going to try to have them all like one side on one side and then the other side on the other side. But these gears, I think they're all good. And you have to take these wheels out too. Yeah, so the rubber tire, it goes on the side with the gears. So when I put them back together, I'll be more careful. These are your 2 pickup strips. And on each side of the frame, there's metal bars. They're nicely detailed. You can see the springs. And there's metal bars. And I have to remove this screw and this screw to release the metal bar. And that will release my gears. This screw wasn't in there very tight. Then I have to get this screw too. That is going to be more complicated when it comes to bring it back because I have to worry about the little contact strip. And then I can remove this plate that reveals all my gears. Then I move just this little bar up and then I can just slide this through and then I've got all my gears, which they look fine actually. So I'm going to set them aside. And that the reason why I took it apart is because I want to know if the Shapeways gears are better quality. But these I'm keeping. They will make great replacement gears for another engine down the road. And I mean, I checked everything. It looks super duper. The Shapeways gears look exactly like the Bachmann ones, so that's good news. They should fit right in there. And then the main one, and then the two little idlers. I'm also going to lubricate this as I install everything. I'm going to use my rag. I'm just going to clean everything out. I took a minute to wash it since I had everything in my hand. The opportunity came up. Now I'm going to put a little bit of lubrication in there. The water will evaporate in no time. And I don't put a lot of lubrication, just a little bit. You don't have to go nuts. The first question is how well these sit in there. Is it really hard to push them in? Do you have to enlarge the hole? Seems to be hard to push them in, but they go in. And the type of plastic they use seems to be really good quality. I like these wheels, they're beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna slide them in there one at a time. Everything seems to fit good. Well, this one's a little tight. My first time ordering stuff from Shapeways. This one fits very tight. I'm not sure that's too good. I've always got some drill bits here with me, so I'm just going to try and remove a little bit of material. You don't want to go crazy over that, because if you remove too much, your gear's going to wobble like that, and you don't want that. So I have to remove just a little bit until it fits perfectly. I just want to check how the gears mesh together. So that seems pretty good. We'll see on the track. Now these are 3D printed. They want to lift off a little bit because I don't have the plate on, but they seem to be rolling pretty well. I'll put the plate back on it and I'll turn them some more. You're not going to be able to see much, but they are turning very well. Now I'm going to start putting my wheels back on. On this engine, even if your quartering is not done absolutely perfectly, this engine will still run. But, you know, since I have everything in my hand, I'm going to take the time to do everything perfectly. Actually, so far so good. Everything's feeling really good. This is the time where it pays to be careful, maybe a little bit more. Since I have everything in my hands, I make sure the wheels are engaged. Very important. Daniel Cordapassi would be proud. So everything's looking good and feeling good. I've got everything quartered just the way I like it. I'm going to pop the motor back in just to try it again. So it looks like it's going to work. My motor is still loose a little bit, so I have to find the exact position where it's happy. But it's going to work. I'm going to bring the valve gear back in at this point. It's the same as taking it out. You have to hit the exact correct angle. There we go. I told you it was going to be easy. So then bring it back in. So the closest one to the wheel here is always the main rod. That goes closest to the wheel. And that they're pretty much timed together. And then you have the cylinder rod. So that goes up and over the main rod there. That you do need patience for this, but that's part of the game. You know, I don't tackle steam engines if I didn't get enough sleep or if I'm in a bad mood. I wait till I'm top shape to do that. And you have to be in the mood for it too. So today I was in the mood. So that's that. And then, last but not least, the excenter crank with the excenter rod. And then once you got them all lined up, you can punch them in with your nail, with your fingernail. That's funny, the tricks your mind plays on you. With the HO scale engine, I didn't want to do it, but with the N scale engine, it's a walk in the park. So well, I'm glad it worked out that way. So I did the exact same thing on the other side. So I got everything to run just fine. I just need to find a position. My motor still has a little bit of a tendency to wobble, so I just have to find the exact position where it will be happy. But so far it's looking real good. So I'm gonna set it in place with some crazy glue. So I gave it some time for the glue to dry, and it seems to be running real smooth, but the real test is on the track. It still has a point where it binds a little bit. So I'm gonna run it like that, and we'll see if it loosens up. So it's still doing it. I'm going to switch the gears around from position to position until I get it running the way I want. Now I got it to run exactly like I wanted it to run. All I did was I switched out this gear for this gear, and now check it out. Now it's running exactly as I wanted it to. I'm really satisfied with the Shapeways gears. Now I'm gonna put all the valve gear back on it, and I'm gonna test it again. And now I got it. It's running exactly the way I want. Now I'm gonna put the pilot and trailing truck back on, and the shell. This is coming close to an end. Before I put my trailing truck though, I am gonna want to wash my tender. It's got a little bit of dust on it. And that handrail I was able to put back in no time. Of course, I'm gonna want to wash the wheels. That is for sure, for sure. So these are not too hard to take out. Even though the plastic's old, it's still malleable. You can still move it around. So these, of course, I will do them with my rag. These metal wheels, they are good. I like them. These are my favorite freight cars, the old Bachmann freight cars with metal wheels like that. They are my favorite. I keep them around. I can't get enough of them. Yo, check this out. So these are really free rolling. It is really good. I noticed I have a little problem here. There's no place for my tender to attach. I'm assuming there's a plastic part that's missing from that. So I'm gonna put together a little drawbar extender to make that work. So that's gonna take me 2 seconds to come up with something. They also make Shapeways. They also make gears for the Norfolk and Western Class J, the old one. If you have the new one, this I won't tighten it too hard, just a little bit. There's a little pin missing from the front, so this is gonna wiggle around. That should not be a problem. That should be okay. And this screw here, also it's a multitasker. It holds down the crosshead and the boiler and the pilot truck. And my pilot truck, it has its little pin. So that's good. Little pin goes here. And the pilot truck goes there. So we're coming to an end. Make sure that that's centered. The little wheel's made out of metal, so it should be really good. Should have enough weight to stick on the track. But then again, well, no, I don't have any turnouts on my layout. So I won't be able to tell you if this is good on turnouts. But it's gonna be good to run. So I'm probably missing a part that goes here, probably to hide the motor, and also there's only one spot where this can go. Also to attach the tender. Let's see, I need a real small screwdriver to get in there. There, that does not need to be on very tight. So that looks amazing. That is a good looking engine. So I'm gonna put something together to hold my tender real quick, and then we'll go have some fun. Look at that, I spent hours on research developing this. And now it's time to run some trains. This is a little bit of a problem from these old Bachmann engines. It does have one traction tire, but it's not enough. So I've got 4 cars plus a caboose, so I have to take at least a couple off. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon. For those of you who stayed till the end, I've got a little extra bonus. This is a Mikado D51. It's a Japanese engine, and it can pull a long train, no problem. The old Mikado is going to go in the engine shed until it's needed again.